Mom, I didn't do anything wrong.
Wow, you know what's worse? You don't even understand what you did.
Okay, fine. I did a dumb thing.
Yeah, and a selfish thing, and an insensitive thing. I thought I raised a better man.
A man is who his mother makes him. A quote I once heard from Mother Iyanla Van Zandt, and to be honest, I'm not sure if it's an original phrase of hers, but true nonetheless.
I hold her responsible because a man is who his mother makes him to be.
For this video, we are going to be tackling that statement via Degrassi and talking about the men that Audra Torres made. Now, you might be coming to this video galvanized and ready to defend Audra for being an active parent who advocated for the safety and well-being of her children. And you're right, she did do those things.
Bullying, low test scores, and now a prank that caused my sons to miss an exam. One more incident, and that could be another principal's problem.
There are actually few Degrassi mothers who fail to look after their kids or deny them of what's best for them. In fact, some of the most terrible mothers I can think of are likely Alex's, Ellie's, and Zoe's. But still, Audra is getting her own video breakdown, and it's not because of a lack of mothering, or that she's necessarily a bad mother by definition. It's due to a common phenomenon we've been discussing for decades, and more recently in the past several years. The mother and son dynamic, also known as the energy of the boy mom, and how matriarchs of this nature have the capacity to destroy their male offspring by eroding their sense of self from the inside out, and why the relationship between mothers and sons can create ill-prepared adult men who evade accountability, struggle to self-identify, lack follow-through, and become reliant on codependency in their relationships. This is Channeling Chinez. When we first meet Audra, she is seemingly overasserting herself in Drew's high school football career, having transferred to Degrassi due to the bullying Adam experienced at their previous school. One might see why Audra may be hyper-protected. This is the mother bear instinct that she carries that one could never fault her for.
I don't understand. My son is hazed and nothing happens? Drew was clearly targeted. And when he transferred to the school, he expected a fair chance at starting quarterback.
He was given a chance in tryouts like everybody else.
But only one player was tied to the flagpole this morning.
She has a duty and a deep desire to uplift and protect her children, but how she chooses to uplift Drew reveals underlying unhealthy family dynamics.
If I can't play, nobody can.
Drew walks onto Degrassi's campus with a healthy sense of entitlement. If I had to give Drew a zodiac sun sign, he'd probably be a Virgo. And with him being cast to carry the essence of his father and the heart of his mother, Audra's favoritism toward Drew was highly likely. Drew is Audra's golden child. I would say that Adam and Audra's relationship was more strained, while Drew provided her with the kind of normalcy that didn't challenge anything in her worldview.
I've thought about it. I want to introduce Grams to Adam tonight.
Then don't come.
What?
I don't understand why we can't just have a normal family dinner. I don't deserve this.
And before we get too deep into Audra, it must be noted that Adam and Drew do have two married parents. However, Omar is rarely seen interacting with his sons. One could blame this on lazy writing, as Degrassi is notorious for cutting corners around parents. Nevertheless, there are plenty of present fathers, from Mr. Bandari to Mr. Hollingsworth, that do play a role in their children's lives, for better or for worse. But it is important to note that in many of the most dramatic circumstances that happen between Drew and Adam, Omar only shows up at the end or when the damage has already been done. More on that later. We also don't see real interactions between Audra and her husband, and I know that Degrassi is about the students, but I believe it's worth noting. The show wants you to believe that he's just a busy, successful lawyer, but so is Jimmy's dad. His absence has a lot to do with Audra's overassertion in her children's personal lives, and particularly Drew's. But for Drew, this created a fragile ego built on a very precarious foundation.
Ladies and gentlemen, step right up. It's ego time. Watch Audra Torres down 12 raw eggs.
Because his mother is so emotionally and mentally focused on him, everyone else has to be too, including his sibling, a classic narcissistic family dynamic.
Your brother's had trouble coping since the incident with the gang, and your father and I think that a change of scenery might help.
So what, my vote doesn't count?
I liked our old school, but I gave it up for you.
Yeah, people thought I was a freak there. Your problem's in your head. Wherever we go, it's coming with us.
Okay, what's your point?
Stop. Apologize to your brother.
Many golden children, like Drew, struggle to establish actual independence and typically need express direction from their parents to make decisions for themselves. This is something we would see Drew start to push back on, and it's also important to note that Degrassi loves displaying this dynamic in their sons. We see a similar struggle with individuals like Declan and Miles, one where a particular family identity or public-facing image has manufactured roles that are reinforced by parents to children. In these dynamics, we see characters like Drew push back on these boundaries and struggle to live up to parental expectations. Despite the fact that Drew was the golden child, he would always push his limits in order to have the experiences he wanted for himself, regardless of the way his mother felt about it.
Okay, well, as long as you're grounded, do you want to fire up the Xbox?
I'm going out. Can't get any more crowded.
Actually, you can.
Adam wasn't immune to levels of control by Audra, but her sentiments in controlling Adam versus her determination to control Drew seemingly came from two different places. This isn't necessarily a criticism. Different children require different care, but it does reveal Audra's actual fatal flaw in her parenting.
Can I get this shirt for dinner tonight?
What about, this?
You know, Adam, I don't ask for much. I just wanted to have a nice family dinner.
Let's go.
When you look at me, do you see a boy or a girl?
Oh, Adam.
Just answer me.
A girl.
Audra Torres does not see her children for who they really are, but rather for who she believes they should be. In this video, we are going to be looking at how Audra's methods of control and emotional manipulation disempowered Drew and created a distorted image of her son in his and her mind. Without knowing as much about Audra as we could, one thing that can be confidently said about her is that she holds a deep sense of entitlement. The energy that she has a right to do and say whatever she wants is recognizable in almost every scene.
I'd like to set forth a motion to reopen the garden.
Oh, I don't think that's right. I think the school needs time, I'm sorry.
And this energy serves as her means of overextending herself with her children, seeing them in some ways as an extension of herself and her ideals.
How long is Mom making us run a food drive?
Until we rehabilitate this school's image within the community.
For this reason, Audra fails to see her children for who they really are. Like, for instance, take Drew's academic skill level. There is this refusal by Audra to acknowledge that Drew does not grasp subjects as easily as his peers.
Mom's on my back about my grades. I've got to buckle down.
I'm failing all of my classes.
You exaggerate.
I feel like crap every day.
But if you let her tell it, Drew just doesn't pay attention and needs to apply himself. And while some of that may be true, it can also be true that Drew has a difference in his ability to learn and needs to be able to perform at the level and pace that works for him.
The Victorian era?
I have no idea.
Maybe you should have said the essay Allie wrote for you was your own.
I'm not smart like you.
When I did the essay for you, I thought I was calling you dumb.
People have been telling me that my entire life. Mom, Dad, brother, Perino.
You need to be smart.
You saying I'm not smart?
Yes.
In spite of this, Audra continues to enroll Drew in advanced coursework.
There's a reason I made you take grade 11 math in summer school to catch up with the rest of your class.
Calculus? Really?
My mom forced me to transfer.
She doesn't allow Drew to actually make decisions. If he's participating in something, it's likely because she told him that's what he does, but not what it means to do those things. This is why Drew struggles to root himself. And despite coming from a family with a foundation of money, he is actually hindered in his ability to self-sustain. When you don't allow someone to make decisions and accept the outcomes, you undermine their self-confidence and their ability to trust their own instincts.
That better be homework.
No, I'm applying for a job.
You have a job, recovering from a concussion.
Mom, I need this.
You need to get better.
I'm sick of her treating me like such a baby.
She also deliberately ties herself to each and every decision Drew makes, making her approval a stand-in for his own emotional compass instead of his own convictions.
I started doing MMA fighting. And this one time I got hit so hard that I blacked out.
Why didn't you tell me?
Because I was fine.
Well, you're not fine now, are you?
This is why Drew eventually moving out and dropping out of high school was unsurprising and actually Audra's fault. Imagine being set up to fail academically by your own parent, who refuses to acknowledge your limitations, then having a severe injury and PTSD, and a parent who was unwilling to let you assert any sort of autonomy over your life.
Drew, I thought we decided.
No, you decided.
You're not dropping out of school for some job at the mall. If you live in this house, you go to school. Case closed.
That's why being the golden child is hardly a blessing. Though you're favored, you are also highly controlled and disempowered during your critical years. To Audra, Drew is her strong, intelligent sports star, and without seeing him realistically, she fails to arm him with realistic expectations.
He's got serious medical issues. He dropped out of school. I basically drove him away. Sometimes I think his behavior is all my fault.
It's not.
So instead of being honest with Drew about what it might be like to compete for quarterback as a junior at a new school with seniors and the like who have been working just as hard throughout their high school career, it was clear that Audra supported Drew in believing that the quarterback spot was already his, that he was almost entitled to be captain.
So you have no idea who tried to humiliate the young man who also just happens to be trying out for quarterback.
A lot of what makes Drew a manipulative and complex character is witnessing the battle between the person he is at heart.
I got you. Thanks. Drew. Hey, Seth.
The version of himself he becomes when something stands in between him and what he wants.
And now you owe me.
And I'm just supposed to step aside.
You do not want me to force you.
And Audra's child.
I know, Riley. Mom, he'd tell you.
And for this reason, Audra defends her child without ever knowing the person he is behind closed doors. And in her world, her child gets what he wants. So when Drew finds himself on the receiving end of the energy he's put out there, whether it's threatening to out his teammate,
Unless you want me to tell the entire team, I suggest you step aside for QB1.
cheating on his girlfriend by having relations on school grounds and then lying about it, abandoning his teammates and then showing up to the championship game intoxicated.
What's wrong with you? Are you on something?
I know.
Starting a new relationship before ending the first one and hurting both parties as a result, or sneaking out to a concert when he was told to stay home. You'll find that Drew will be in these situations, and Audra will defend her child without asking her son about himself and what kind of person he's becoming based on his true actions. She's not even curious about his involvement. Most of the time, she immediately condemns any outside party or makes an excuse to the outside world that minimizes Drew's actual actions. And this looks like approaching a sobbing Allie and a guilty-looking Drew with a statement like, "What did she do to you?"
Drew! What did she do to you?
And then later calling a 15-year-old girl out of her name based on a rumor she heard from another minor student.
And what is wrong with you, young lady? Trading favors like some common...
Or telling Drew's coach that he wasn't feeling well when he was actually under the influence of substances.
I'm gonna go tell the coach you're not feeling well. You stay here.
Or conflating Drew's hazing incident to ensure he starts as quarterback. And while I can understand defending your child in the moment when something is blatantly wrong, but there is no follow-up dialogue with Drew about his relationships with other people. The reality is that even if Drew was hazed, that doesn't have a direct impact on Coach Armstrong's decision-making. It's not like he orchestrated the hazing amongst students. You'll also see that Audra's defense of Adam looks a lot different. When Drew was physically harmed, Audra badgered the school board. When Adam was physically harmed, Audra just wanted to leave the school.
My son was hazed. Obviously, someone was involved. No, there's no acceptable but after that. Unless you're defending hazing, and by tacitly accepting it, you're endorsing the behavior. Now that students know Adam's a girl, I think he needs to transfer schools immediately.
Why was she so willing to stay and fight for Drew, but when it comes to Adam, she'd rather run and hide? More on that later. She is a major reason why Drew doesn't learn real consequences until well into his second senior year. Most often, Drew is hit with a punitive punishment that fosters no real character development through self-reflection.
So you grounded?
Oh, yes. I have to see a counselor for the next month about drug abuse, and I'll be lucky if I get to leave my house before I'm 30.
And that's because she's not interested in that part of who he is. She's already decided who he will become. He will earn high marks in school and academically compete alongside the best of his peers, even if that's secretly very hard for him. He will be quarterback, and she will harass the school board until that takes place at any sign of perceived unfairness, and he will be immune to any kind of romantic advances because she said so. This kind of parenting seems to distort Drew's ego perception by destroying its sense of security, particularly in matters where Drew doesn't get his own way.
She's just playing hard to get.
Or she's not interested in you.
Give her time. I'll make her interested.
Avoiding consequences doesn't build a healthy character. It creates this us against them dynamic between a mother and a son that creates the atmosphere for enmeshment and misplaced spousalhood.
I warned you about that girl.
Well, this isn't Bianca's fault.
Well, she can't undo her past. And now neither can you.
Audra was overtly rude to every girl Drew chose for himself. What seemed like a parenting choice around Drew buckling down in school, as opposed to focusing on girls, was sort of a mask for the ways in which Audra felt threatened by Drew's romantic partners.
Well, I'm assuming this is why you're failing math? I thought you came early to study.
Allie and I were just taking a break.
It's clear she wanted Drew to excel, but seeing him form intimate attachments threatened her emotional control over her son, and is detectable in her reactions to each new girlfriend.
Tell your friend to go home, and then we'll talk. Make sure she doesn't forget this.
Nice to meet you, Mrs. Torres.
You know, that stink bomb gave you an extra day to study. To study. To study. Don't waste it.
Her dismissiveness of Allie, not giving her eye contact, not acknowledging her, leaving her extended handshake hanging are all aggressively visceral rejections. Meanwhile, Allie is the smartest and most academically capable girl in the school, who also spent time tutoring other students. Referring to Allie as a common whore based on a rumor she heard from other minors was not only egregious, it showed her bias against girls interested in her son. Upon catching Allie and Drew in the boiler room or school basement, I'm not sure which, you can almost see the wheels turning in her head as she quickly flipped the scenario to distance Drew from any sort of culpability.
Nothing happened.
Only because I showed up before she could do anything to you.
It's not her fault.
Please, don't defend her, okay?
Audra's reservations toward Bianca were initially quite justified. Not only did Bianca bully her other child, Drew's involvement with her threatened the safety of their entire family while also traumatizing both of her children. But I think it's important to note that Audra only warmed up to Bianca after Bianca became subservient to Audra, when choosing to prioritize Audra's point of view over Drew's.
Can you please stop talking about school for 1 second? It's a bit of a drag.
No, it's called growing up.
So there it is. You think I'm a loser.
No, I think you made a mistake. Audra said that.
Audra said. Oh, so you and my mom are talking behind my back. Well, that's just great.
Was she right? Yes. Drew shouldn't have dropped out of school. He shouldn't have been risking his health by trying to recover too quickly. All of these things were true, but it was her subservience to her and her admiration for Audra that allowed her to soften toward her. It actually allowed Audra to be a savior with Bianca as a dependent.
You helped me out of a dark place, and I hate that I could never fully repay you for that. I just want you to know how awesome you are.
But she still didn't see Bianca as equal to her son. Despite how far she had come and how far beneath Bianca Drew actually was.
I know how difficult your life has been. And I know that you haven't grown up with the same privileges that Drew has, the stability of family.
What does that have to do with anything?
You're looking to latch on to someone. But I want more for my son than to work at the mall and be trapped in some teen marriage.
When she told Bianca that her hardened background was driving her decision to marry her son and that she was looking to hold on to something, that told you exactly what she thought of Bianca, and even alluded to where she placed her socioeconomically.
No, Larry's would be mom finding out.
Well, she can't. She'd stop the wedding.
She thinks bees trail the trash.
I think that's a bit of an exaggeration.
I know you never approved of her, and you told her to her face that she wasn't good enough for me. But I love her.
We've all been through a lot this year. but no one's been through more than these two. And to be honest, part of me blamed Bianca.
Mom.
I know. It wasn't fair.
But most importantly, this is about control. And it's not that Audra is necessarily wrong in the way that she's trying to guide Drew, particularly with Bianca, i.e. a teen marriage more than likely is an unnecessary early misstep for most people, although there are some people who stay together forever, like Simon and Alexa. But her reasoning for finally allowing the engagement was not only because of how much she saw herself in Bianca, but also because, in many respects, Bianca bent the knee. It was also undeniable how much her actions were hurting Drew, and that's the relationship she wanted to preserve.
So please do not make me choose.
I just can't support a teen wedding.
For once, will you please just support me?
Now, is that wrong? No. It's what a mother should do. Find a way to accept her son's choices. But what it took to get her there with Bianca had more to do with herself than it did with Drew. I feel like this is further highlighted by her flat emotional reaction to their breakup. I don't recall Audra having any meaningful encounters with Becky as either one of her son's girlfriends, which is a fact that I try to block out for the most part. But even her reaction to Katie was cold and rude. She can't even be bothered to exchange pleasantries. Katie says, "It's nice to meet you," and Audra replies with, "Well, let's see."
Oh, who do we have here?
This is Katie, my new girlfriend.
It's nice to meet you, Mrs. Torres.
Well, why don't we get to know each other?
This is also the reason why her reaction to Drew and Zoe's relationship was justified, but sort of too little too late.
Did you have sex with this girl?
Mom.
This is serious.
It was consensual. It wasn't illegal.
It was.
Just excited I managed to keep my job.
So you're pleased with yourself?
Yeah.
What about the girl, Drew?
What, we dated? We broke up? Why are you so mad?
She's 15.
She herself was shocked by her son's dismissiveness and his excitement of getting off the hook with his job intact. For the first time, it's like she realized he was insensitive, selfish, and callous. As she makes the statement, "I thought I raised a better man," it's clear that she's seeing Drew and his deflection from accountability in 4K. But she didn't raise a better man like she thought. She raised Drew Torres. What a lot of these kinds of maternal figures don't realize is they are creating the breeding ground for everything they don't want to see come to fruition in their child's life. This is because they've created a disconnect in their child's heart space, where there is supposed to be a healthy sense of self-love from being built up for your strengths by your primary examples, is now a hole waiting to be filled with approval that's never coming.
Well, it seems the three of you are doing great in your classes in spite of yourselves. What? Well, I mean, the three of you are kind of iffy sometimes.
If I can play sports, I don't need student council.
Drew, you're not going to be a pro athlete, but this leadership thing, it could take you places.
People don't take me seriously.
Drew struggling to self-identify, struggling with who he was outside of sports, while Common still has unique ties to his upbringing, because this isn't about Audra not prioritizing education. It's about her refusal to meet her son where he was unless it meant limiting his mobility with female partners. Drew struggled academically, and instead of uplifting him for other skills like Bianca did, or allowing him to move at his own pace, she reinforced her version of what successful Drew should look like, and ignored his limitations until he was ultimately left back.
Calculus, really?
My mom forced me to transfer.
And this is how these kinds of mothers break their sons. They don't just create a dependence on them. They teach their son that they need to be enmeshed in decision-making with a feminine partner in order to make their life choices, but that female partner should only ever be her.
He called me to tell me he was making a big mistake getting married. Excuse me, were you not the one who called me? Am I not here to talk some sense into you because you were making a huge mistake?
The mistake that I thought I was making was getting married without you here. I guess I was wrong.
I believe that this is part of the reason why Drew craves feminine validation. Drew needed top from Bianca because he felt bad in school and not smart enough for Allie. Drew needed Katie to help him develop healthy coping skills, which is ironic. Drew needed Bianca to think more of himself than just an athlete. There's a distinctive pattern between the codependency created by Audra and Drew's style of dating.
Why did you sleep with her?
I don't know. She liked me.
Did you like her?
Yeah, sort of.
Uh-huh. So that's your criteria?
What I find most interesting is the fact that Drew's father was nowhere to be found in the weighing in of any of his critical life decisions.
This is my dad, Steve. Hey,
So everyone's here but your mom. My mom doesn't even know I'm getting married. I don't know, lately she's just been on my case for everything. Got my dad on her side too.
Where was Omar on his wedding day? Why didn't Omar show up at his apartment with Fiona or at the altar with Bianca? Omar's absence and Audra's over-assertion has everything to do with Drew's inability to ground himself. His masculine example doesn't bother teaching him anything, and his feminine example is far too enmeshed and potentially overcompensating for something missing in her own marriage. This reinforces this toxic mother-son dynamic, positioning the two of them against the world and undermining her son's healthy romantic inclinations. This is actually why Claire and Drew's relationship, had it not been ruined by a pointless pregnancy, was actually fun and interesting and growth inspiring. In this case, you had two very different equals who actually benefited from being supportive of each other by way of their individual strengths and were able to be interdependent and discerned with each other. So the question remains, is Audra Torres a toxic mom? And to fully answer that question, I think we need to acknowledge where Audra's heart is. Even though Drew is definitely the golden child, her favoritism isn't necessarily indicative of her heart. For every flawed parent with narcissistic tendencies, you'll find a scared inner child who is desperately clinging on for safety.
Well, I certainly can't tell you what to do, but I don't think you should disappear.
In a conversation with Bianca, Audra reveals a bit of her origin that suggests that she wasn't so upstanding and perfect in her teen years.
You know, this may come as a shock to you, but I wasn't always this perfect, especially when I was your age. But I had help, and I changed and made something of myself.
This checkered past, like Bianca's, may have put a young Audra in situations where her toughness was a form of self-defense and her ability to control was her means of survival. And like many feminines who misunderstand how to utilize their masculine traits in a toxic world, what started as a means to assert her self-confidence may have manifested into a woman who thinks being a bitch means being assertive. You see a lot of Audra's heart in the way that she parents Adam.
I just don't understand. You don't have to. Just accept.
Accept what? That your life is going to be hard?
Part of the reason why Audra wanted to leave Degrassi after Adam's assault was from a deep fear of being unable to keep him safe. And while some of her comments around Adam's transition may appear insensitive, underneath her concern is a deep desire for her children to live their best and safest possible lives.
More evidence that I'm awful having my own child reassure me.
Audra's tendency to use emotional manipulation or make things about herself is indeed her fatal flaw, but it doesn't completely write her off as a mother. It's important to recognize these patterns so that we may be able to unpack flaws in the parenting we received and how emotional intelligence can inform us in reparenting our own inner child or future offspring. Thank you so much for watching this video. Be sure to like, comment, and subscribe. Let me know what you thought about this video, what you think about the boy-mom energy or the mother-son dynamic. You can stay connected with me weekly on the community page. I'm gonna start sharing different videos that I find of other creators who give more of a practical perspective to the spiritual things that we talk about, just as a means to further share with you guys on the community page. You can also connect with me at Official Chinez on TikTok and Instagram. You can follow my tarot channel, which I'm about to start pouring into a lot more, on here on YouTube at Chinez Tarot. And if you're just looking for emotional intelligence and spiritual content to read, you can check out my Substack, Static and Ripples, at Official Chinez on Substack as well. You can also check out my website, officialchinez.com, and book a personal tarot reading with me. Thank you so much for watching this episode, and I will see you in the next one.